Hi, I'm Cheryl Ward, and I'm here with Lynn Martin Russell, our Austin branch friend, and she's going to go over the Signature, which I've heard a lot about this. I've heard that this is like old school wine, like this is the wine to drink if you really appreciate a good solid red.
Yes, well, and for us it means so much to us because when we call it, it's the Montepulciano, the same grape that we've talked about in the past with the rosé and different things, but it's the Signature because it's the wine that's the closest to what our grandfather made in Italy. And so we even have his passport signature on there, hence the name. But it's a fabulous because it's been in oak for 12 to 18 months. You get the French and American oak. It's big, but it's not overwhelming, but it's a very, very fun wine, and it's definitely one of our bigger sellers, I think, all overall, as well as even in Austin, you know, because it can do so much. So it's very cool.
This is like the advanced wine drinker's wine, or at least that's what I think, being kind of the newbie of reds and whites and stuff like that. I just think that people who really know what wine's supposed to be about, this is up there. And like you said, it's your grandfather's wine. It's the closest to that old world.
What's fun about it, and I think what you can get from it by being a newbie, is when you taste it, and you actually can really taste different flavors. A lot of times with some of the wines that aren't as like this, I don't even know, you know, oaky and done for a long time and aged, you don't get all the different flavors, or it's hard to detect them. And here you can actually really start tasting the leather and the spice and that kind of stuff, which makes it really fun.
So definitely a sipping wine. Not
well, you know what? Actually, you'll be surprised. Why don't you tell me? Because I actually think that you're going to be surprised. I think sometimes people get a little afraid if they hear Old World. They're thinking, oh no, it's going to be this really big wine and I'm going to need this great steak or something huge to sort of mellow it out, and you don't. I mean, in fact, this vintage 2008, and it's a very...
It has such a really different smell to it. Compared to some of the others, you can really smell different spices, like you're saying, that oak
and you still get the fruit forwardness, but it's much more mellow. So it's sort of mellowed out because I can actually smell the French oak a little bit in there. So take a sip, see what you think, because I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I like that. And the tannin's not overpowering to where you can enjoy the flavors and stuff. And like you've been saying, as I've gotten more into wine, I've started to actually think about what I'm tasting every second once it touches, because it changes. Wine changes once it hits your mouth, to your tongue, to your throat. And
when you get the whole front, you know, you hear people talk about, okay, the front palate, mid palate, end, and you're like, what? But as my dad I laugh at my dad because he's like, you know what, this is how I test wine. If I like it, it's good and I'll drink it, you know? So really, it doesn't really matter, but it's fun if you start getting curious about it, that you can start picking out the different things about it, and you can start really tasting it. Should we invite Chef Shockley
I guess we should, because he will tell us what would be great to eat with this.
Right.
I really do like the...
See, and it's extremely smooth all the way to the end. It's
kind of like
very, very balanced.
Like a tart berry to it.
You get some of the dark red fruit in there, but it's not overpowering at all. It's very smooth.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I'm making bitter when I'm sucking it down. I feel like it's just smooth, like you're saying. That berry's not overpowering, and the mix of the smooth and not too tannin.
I mean, you definitely get a little bit on the mid palate, and at the end of your tongue, you can feel those tannins, but it still has a nice transgression, I guess you say, from it. It's not just this thing that
I don't
hits
feel like
you.
it's going the full way. The tannin's not following the rest of the...
And that's what makes it such a great wine to pair with food, because it's got all the attributes of the Montepulciano stainless steel, which goes wonderful with just a simple piece of grilled lamb with a hamburger on a summer day. But this one has enough body to where, for me, braised lamb shanks go wonderfully with this. It's got enough body to stand up to that, because when you braise the lamb shanks, it's got a lot more richness to it.
Now, when you say braise, what does that mean? Like you pour the wine with it, or?
You cook it in wine very slowly in the oven, and it brings out all the flavors and the textures of the wine, and of the lamb when you're cooking it. And it's just a very, very rich dish. But this is bold enough to stand up to the richness of that dish, but light enough to stand up to just a simple piece of grilled lamb as well. So it's a great pairing wine with food. Good body.
I'm really
not
liking
overpowering.
Grandpa's wine.
Yeah, he was cool, right?
Yeah.
He actually brought his grapes, you know, he was in Italy forever, and then he came here to Corpus. And actually, in his backyard, he had all of his grapes, because it's funny that there's actually some of the similarities in the climate. I mean, not a lot, but there's some of them, and he was determined to continue growing his grapes here. It was very, very strong, but it was very good wine.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this information. I'm Cheryl Ward, and this is Lynn Martin Russell and Chef Shockley, and we are drinking the Montepulciano. Montepulciano Signature dell'Abruzzo. You can check us out on Facebook, and we're with Martin Ulisse Imports.